According to the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, in 2023, the United States imported roughly $77.3 billion worth of goods and materials than it exported. That's why your iPhone, computer, headphones, and all of your plethora of commodities that you possess were able to get to you. But in order to be able to get to the consumer, it must first be distributed. And that is mainly through a little country right here called Panama. Panama was established in 1903. It got its independence from Colombia. There have been many uprisings, especially in the early 1900s. There were over 50 that were reported where people that lived in the Panama Isthmus, and the Isthmus is the little area near the sea right here that connects to the United States, they wanted to leave their government. But each time the United States would bring in troops and they would temper things down and lower the temperature. Eventually, a French company was building a canal in this area right here. But due to poor budgeting, due to poor engineering, due to high cost and people getting disease and things like that, they put a pause on the project, and all of the materials, all of the things they were going to use to build it were rotting away. The United States negotiated the rights to build the canal. They agreed with the government of Colombia at the time, who ruled over Panama, that they would pay them a certain percentage each year, and they would pay them, I think it was $14 million at that time. That was billions of dollars in 2024 numbers. But at the last moment, the government of Colombia, they said, no, we don't want this. And they went back on it. So the United States then already had a coup in place. All they did was nothing. In 1903, Roosevelt set up, did nothing, and the government was overthrown, and the independent Republic of Panama was established. Only one innocent bystander died. The question is, was it worth it? And a life is a life. You can never quantify a life, but think about all of the dictators like Saddam Hussein in the 1980s. The United States intelligence agencies was helping Saddam Hussein use chemical weapons, his military, against Iran. In this case, they simply just said, okay, go ahead. And that's when Panama was given its independence. And because of that, now you can go through Panama, and it connects the Pacific Ocean all the way up here to the Atlantic, to the North American continent. But if I zoom out a little bit here, you can see that there's a little isthmus right here in Panama, and that's what connects it together. And that's why we are able to have all these goods and services that we enjoy today. Before the Panama Canal was built, the way that goods were distributed to North America typically came all the way from an area right here called Cape Horn. It didn't come from this area, but you had to go all around. You had to go from North America. San Francisco and California and Port of Los Angeles is where a lot of the containers come from. You had to go all the way here, and you had to go all the way around South America, all the way down to Cape Horn, and all the way back up here, which, if you look at the numbers, it was 1,700 miles longer. It took 2 months typically, which would back up supply chains. And that's why if something happened to the Panama Canal, entire supply chains would be way behind. If you remember the port strike that recently happened, people were freaking out. Well, that would be like that times 100, because 170 countries, China, Japan, the United States, they all use this canal right here. And then they go to other continents like Africa, Europe, Australia, and others. The Panamanian government actually collects $2.3 billion alone just from a toll that they have when people go through the canal. Originally, it was owned by the United States. Woodrow Wilson, who was elected president after Taft, who followed Theodore Roosevelt, he was 2 presidents after him. He apologized and he gave a settlement to Panama. But eventually there was a treaty signed by Jimmy Carter in 1977, and now the Panamanian people own Panama. Another fun fact about Panama, Noriega, who was the dictator of Panama for a while in the 90s when George H.W. Bush was president, was overthrown. And now Panama at least has a semblance of a democratic country now. They have free elections to a certain degree. In my humble opinion, outside of the Japanese government, who we had MacArthur there and then they reestablished a new government, that was the only successful coup that the United States has ever been in. All these other coups they've been involved in have not really worked out well for them. Even skilled sailors today, if they want to go all the way down here, all the way at Cape Horn and sail around it, go all the way back up here, you have harsh conditions, you have ice, you have waves that can reach 90 feet. Even skilled sailors today struggle to go over that region. But that's why we have all these raw materials, all these goods today. Most of them come from China, which also uses the Panama Canal.